Good evening, everybody. This is Andy, aka Montolio, and I'm joined here by my buddy Josh, aka Cronin, and he's going to help me commentate through my match here against Naoto. And he is playing a Tesserator build, and I am on my Stacks build here. This is round one of the CQ Invitational number 3.
So, were you happy? I mean, obviously, you're not happy to face an opponent like Naoto. Were you
Yeah,
happy with the deck that you were matched up against, though?
you know what? So Naoto, I mean, it could be bittersweet, right? Because Naoto had a couple threats that I was worried about in his deck. Obviously, he cheated on like running 16 lands, had a whole bunch of artifact ramp. He had petals, chrome moxes, mox opals, that sort of thing. And anyways, mana drain was a card that really, really scared me because if he mana drains anything significant, like he can ramp right into 10 minutes too, and just vault key me out, right? He also was running baleful Strixes.
Yeah, Strix is pretty good against stacks.
Yeah. So my logic here is, this is a suspect play for, but I was really worried about his ramp in this deck, and it was better to sacrifice playing a turn one metal worker versus, getting this, slowing him down a little bit. And he only actually runs the strip mine, so I didn't have to worry too much about my Mishra's Workshop getting wastelanded, which is something that would definitely impact me playing a turn one metal worker.
Yeah, it seems reasonable to get a sphere out right away.
Also, I mean, you could argue both ways, but now I would have very much liked to be able to have played that my lodestone right here. I think that would have buried him right there. But unfortunately, I couldn't get. I was buried in on my own sphere. So Metalworker ended up getting countered there, and I was really happy with that, obviously. I have another Metalworker in my hand, and as well I have a Lodestone coming out next turn. So it's pretty good for me.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to get forced right there. Especially since you didn't even have colored mana on the board at that point.
Yeah, for sure. So Naoto ends up getting a Sensei Divine, which is pretty good for him. I mean, it's going to help him dig into his ramp. Uh, and of course, ramps are artifacts, so that will not be inhibited by my lodestone, just by the sphere.
So you've got a 2-turn clock available to you after this, though.
Yeah. So I looked here once. I was going to play out the factors because it's going to help him down, and I didn't think there was any sense in actually showing him the Rishidan port. It's going to act as an additional sphere. So I figured I would just surprise him with that next turn.
And you can even just go on the beatdown route now and do 9 a turn if you play the City of Traders.
For sure. But I'm still playing quite defensively. I really want to keep him under my spheres at all costs.
Yeah.
He has. I don't want him getting anything out, is my logic. So.
Yeah, especially like a Baleful Strix just blocks down your lodestone so easily.
Totally, and I mean the game can just turn around at that point. So, that's definitely my goal is to be able to get those factories going. But my sensibilities are telling me it's better to lock an additional land down for carrying them under the lodestone sphere of resistance here.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
Of course, the Rishidan port is going to help significantly there. I think it was Enderfall I was talking to about this the other day. Rishidan Port is really such a good card in this archetype. Not too many people play it, but as I just alluded to, it does act as an additional sphere. It locks down another land, making people further behind existing spheres on the board, and it's really very good for me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your games, and there's been many a time where port is the one thing that's saved you.
Oh, for sure. So Naoto actually got a pretty good play here. He flipped his top, put himself a Chrome Mox out, so he's got himself an additional mana, which is pretty solid. So I think what I do here is I actually just attack for 4 or 5 with the lodestone, and I hold back on my factories,
Yep, and play your port.
play a metal worker and a port, yeah, and I tap down one of his lands, and then next turn I have the City of Traders out there to attack in with both of them, both of
Yep.
my dealing an additional 4 damage. That's how I see this going. It's a really interesting card that Naoto has put in there was the Blink Moth Nexus. I think or maybe it's an Ink Moth Nexus.
Yeah, Ink Moth, the Infect one.
I've seen that really played in Classic, and I mean, I guess in a real grindy match that could be good. But so there we go. Got into the first game, which I was really happy with.
Buried him just enough, but now he will be on the play.
Yeah, and you know, I can't recall exactly what was in Naoto's board, but I recall there was not much for me, which surprised me because stacks I would think would be not an easy match for Naoto. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I built his deck up and I played one match against you, I think, and I don't remember having very much in the sideboard.
yeah, as a matter of fact, there's absolutely nothing. He's got nothing in this except 2 Sour of Temptations, which I would argue just a really terrible card.
Yeah, 4 mana is just not a way to fight stacks.
Yeah. Yeah. So as a result of that, this allowed me something that I rarely do against control style decks is it lets me play a precursor golem because he cannot target my precursor in his deck. And of course, precursor golem, if we know it's going to go under contested, it's a very powerful card. So put those in there. I've obviously slots struggle here. I didn't want to take out any of my spheres at all.
Did,
And
did you consider Ratchet Bomb at all to blow up on the 0 mana artifacts?
the slots, like Josh, like I wasn't too worried about doing that. I do have a Hellkite for that, but you know, I believe my logic was is Chalice of the Void is never quite as good when you're on the draw. So I lowered that down to a couple.
Yep, seems reasonable.
Yeah.
4 seconds on the clock. You slowpoke. Oh,
I think I was having some daughter issues there. Times I had issues. So this is a pretty good looking hand, eh, Josh?
is that good? Strip Mine Crucible?
Yeah, yeah, pretty good. So Naoto gets out a Mox Opal here and a top. And overall, I was pretty happy with that. Like, I would have been feeling much more concerned had he had 2 active blue mana up. As I said, I was extremely scared of something like mana drain. And yeah, I mean, once again, questionable. You go out with the metalworker, or you go with the crucible. I felt like the crucible was pretty benign here. particularly because he's got a basic on the table, and there's a small percentage chance that I had to strip mine in my hand. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
would have considered just using the strip mine right there, to be honest,
yeah, could be right.
against his deck.
See, the thing is, he can spin his top, right? He can look in his. But I think there's a high probability he's going to find a land in those top three, and of course, he also have a land in his top five. So, I want that established on the board. But yeah, I mean, it could have been right. And Naoto passed turn and didn't do anything.
Oh, and the combo. Why not?
Combo. So this was just really getting better and better and better, especially because he missed a land drop. And of course, if this meta worker resolves, it's good game. Um, I think I was very fortuitous in the second match, particularly being on the draw. I've had this kind of start. And I think he does have to spin his top here and look for a land.
At least he turned on his Mox Opal there. So he doesn't have to crack his Lotus Petal.
Even if he does get a land, he's dead anyways. Because even in this situation, a mana drain's not going to save him. Although he can get me with a mana drain, he can't cast Tez 1 or Tez 2 because he doesn't have the mana. Right? Because once he cracks his Lotus Petal, he loses 1 or 2 of his blue mana, and of course it turns off his Mox Opal for next turn.
Yep.
So I was feeling relatively confident.
Well, and I mean, you're going to reveal all your artifacts, and you can cast your staff then, and still, if he counters that, cast 2 lodestones. So, either way, you're either getting your combo countered or you're winning on the spot.
For sure. And the comment here, this is tough, and I can't help but agree with him. He's in a pretty terrible spot. Oh, and there's me commenting on my daughter again. My daughter's up to something.
Probably stealing your poker chips.
Very well. So here I go, and I think I just go for it with the staff. If that gets countered, as you said, it's really not significant.
Yeah, you still have the mana to
Yeah,
play 2 lodestones.
made a good game here. So yeah, this was a good start to my tournament. I certainly felt good about winning the match. As you mentioned earlier, it's never easy facing a worthy opponent like Naoto first round. So great start.
Congratulations.